want you to close your eyes and use your mind to think of a time where a man was defined by his God-given race. When nothing else mattered but the color of your face, now imagine a boy that had to live in this place. And as he grew older, the world grew colder. He watched his father die at the hands of racist Klansmen. His grandmother was raped by her slave master, and that's how his mother happened. Trapped in a foster home, he saw the world with hope. But he saw a world where his people were being hanged with ropes. So he dropped out of school and he started to sell drugs and pimping and gambling, became a real thug. Cause he was smooth and he could talk and he could pack that heat. Went from being class president in school to king of the streets. Set his sights on the rich people in Boston's elite. Robbed the city blind as they slept in their sheets. But this story is cliche, it only ends one way. Got caught by the cops and got locked away. Judge gave him 10 years to pay for his crimes, but he had no idea what he would learn in this time. See, prison is like the streets. It's all about power and rage. But what's really power when you're locked in a cage? Everyone's afraid of the guard with the gun, but there were a group of brothers who were afraid of no one. They didn't dope or drink or pop their collars. They were clean, they dressed well, and they spoke like scholars. So one day as they came around, he gave them a listen. They talked about a way to get out of this prison. They said our people have been in prison for 400 years, but we ain't talking about this place, we talking about the prison in here. They said God is really black and the paintings of Jesus in churches is a lie. They said we were people of heaven and Satan is white. So he sat and he thought of all the devils in his life. So he accepted their ways and feasted on knowledge. A high school dropout enrolled in the prison's college. Driven by the fact that his people were enslaved for centuries, he got his college degree from Charleston State Penitentiary. Came out of prison blazing. First thing he did was join a group called The Nation, led by a man who claimed to have sacred revelations. He dedicated his life to this man and started preaching full time. He started by preaching on street corners and in bus lines to talking on TV and on the radio. In just a few years, he had filled up a stadium. He was leading rallies attended by thousands of blacks. The entire city of Harlem had his back. His following eventually became so broad that cops had to call him to disperse this mob. It got to the point that he was in the news every day. His demands for justice made him the face of black rage. He said we were people of pride and the whites took it away, and we gonna get it back even if it sends the devils to their graves. His attitude and demeanor became legendary, ending every speech with by any means necessary. But this life isn't easy, it comes with a price. Pretty soon there was some trouble in paradise. His teacher whom he loved turned out to be a fraud. His teacher had blatantly broke his own laws. Nothing compares to the pain of betrayal. He knew he couldn't go on this way. All the hate in his heart was hurting his soul. The pent-up frustration, he couldn't take it no more. So he realized with his real eyes, these were real lies filled with deceit. November 22nd, 1963. Everyone wanted to know what the blacks believed. Kennedy had just been shot by Oswald, like Lincoln had been shot by Booth. My man had strict orders from the top not to speak to the news. But with the mics in his face, he just had to spit the truth. He said this was no surprise. It was just the chickens coming home to roost. He set the media on fire and burned down the roof. He spoke his heart out, but there was a heavy price to pay because Boss Man said he couldn't speak for another 90 days. But it was a blessing in disguise because it was out of his hands. See, we plan and God plans, but God makes the best of plans. So he fell to his knees and asked God for a hand. Got on a plane, and just as it began to land, he heard the chants of a march of 1 million fans worshiping God in his holy land. Mecca was his destination. Forget about the nation. He wanted to learn the authentic declaration. Got off the plane and his mind was just blown. He finally realized why the Muslims had called this place home. He had a white man to his left and a black and brown man to his right. Everyone smiling and wearing all white, no matter where you came from or what you look like. Focus on God, so there was no reason to fight. See, the answer to racism is not racism. The answer to hate is not hate. God is not black or white. God is great. All the hate in his heart was gone. It had all been replaced by a fear of God and the love of his grace. Now he donned a beard and a smile on his face. Traveled the world pleading his people's case. The world heard his cries about the oppression against his race. He met with presidents and dignitaries, even cried out at the Oxford debate. Came home with a renewed mission, but also some new foes. He kept spitting the truth and saw his numbers grow. But again, with the cliche, we know where the story goes. First they firebombed his house and they tried to blow up his ride. Luckily, he managed to get out alive. The message was received loud and clear. But a man on his mission is only God he feared. So he kept fighting for justice until his death was near. Until the dreaded day came, February 21st, 1965. Just thinking of that day brings tears to my eyes. It's time for martyrs now, he said as he walked on the stage. Thousands of his fans chanting his name. In the front row, he saw his daughters and his wife about to witness his father lose his life. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters, were the last words that he said before the gunman rushed the stage and put 20 bullets in his chest. From Harlem, New York, he was laid to rest. This legend was none other than my man Malcolm X. You can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution. You can be a part of the problem, or you can be a part of the solution. Hate will not accomplish anything. It'll just continue to destroy us. We gotta learn from the lessons of the people who came before us. He has no idea how much I've learned from this journey. Hey Malcolm, hold a spot in heaven for me.